And we are live. Welcome to episode 77 of the Tech Informist, recorded this wonderful Wednesday morning on June the 3rd. My name is Kevin Harvell. I'm joined by Brad Whiteside. Brad, how are you today?
Pretty good. If I have to step out in the middle of the episode, don't think anything of it. I just have a lot of things going on, so.
All right, yeah. He's possibly going to be moving soon, and somebody might want to come look at his current residence. So it happens. It's part of life. It's the joys of doing some work at home. Sometimes interruptions are unavoidable.
Yep.
Yeah. So been there, done that. Whenever we had our house listed for sale, you just, an agent contacts you and you got to respond. Hey, you want somebody to come look at your house, or do you not want somebody to come look at your house? And, you kind of jump through some hoops to say, yes, we would like somebody to come look at our house because they might buy it. You never know. So, again, everybody, welcome to the Tech Informist, a nice little technology podcast that we talk about tech, whether it's smartphones, operating systems, and lately it seems like we're talking a little bit more computer hardware, which is actually pretty fun because it gives me a chance to look and see what's going on in the computer world today. It's been a while since I've upgraded my computer, a couple of years now. So, I remember I used to always read CPU Magazine and Maximum PC religiously, monthly, every time, cover to cover. Did you ever read those magazines, Brad?
I actually picked up one that said how to build your first gaming computer, and that was roughly 6 years ago.
Okay. Do you remember
And
which magazine it was?
it was the PC magazine.
Okay.
And since then, I have built my own.
Yeah, I always loved CPU. I thought that was such a great magazine. I think John C. Dvorak was one of the columnists, contributors
Oh,
to it.
cool. Did
Yeah.
not know that.
I want to say he was in that one. Gordon Maung was on Maximum PC. God, that was such a great magazine. Of course, that was, when internet was still kind of in dial-up stage, at least for me. So, spending a lot of time researching and reading things on the internet just was not feasible on dial-up connection.
Yeah, I remember
Now,
that.
now getting all your information is very easy. Whether it's podcasts such as Tech Informist or actually websites and stuff like that. As print magazines have kind of started to fall the way of the dodo and kind of not necessarily fully extinct, but there's still a place. But most people consume their content on their computers and smartphones. So let's go ahead and kick some things off here with some tech news. And again, I was first in the show notes for this episode, so I'm going to lead off with my first story. Microsoft is buying up another wonderful piece of software, and this is the Wunderlist To Do app. And the name of the company is it Wunderkinder? Yeah, Six Wunderkinder, who makes Wunderlist. Now, Brad, I don't know if you use any to-do apps in your kind of day-to-day world.
I don't, but I did hear about this.
Yeah. I've actually been using Wunderlist for about 6 months now, and it's nice. It's available on Mac, Windows, Android. I mean, you can put it on any device possible. Simply download the app and schedule some things out. So, I mean, Microsoft has been doing this a lot lately. They're buying up some really solid companies. First, Acompli, which is now the new Outlook mail app that you'll find on iOS and Android, and also Sunrise for the calendar, which we have spoke about, not too far in the past, within the last few episodes, of how great of a calendar app. And in fact, over dinner last night, we were having dinner with Jared Easley, who is actually organizing, along with Dan Franks, the Podcast Movement Conference coming up at the end of July, beginning of August in Fort Worth, Texas. So we're having dinner here at Pappy's Barbecue here in St. Louis. And Jared was asking everybody, at the table, what is the most used app on your phones? And for me, my first thought was the Sunrise Calendar app because you're always having a schedule, whether it's episodes and guests or you're just trying to get different interviews scheduled and stuff like that. And excuse the fire truck for driving by. But that was the first app that came to my mind. And second was Pocket Casts, being a big podcast listener.
Ooh, for me, it would be Phonely and then Pocket Cast because every morning when I wake up, I read the news, and then before I go to bed, I read the news, and then during lunch, I read the news. And it's
and
not
in between,
like,
you're listening.
yeah, and in between, yeah, and it's not like read the news about what's happening over in who knows where. It's all tech news stuff. It's all video game stuff. That's just what I do. That's how I get by in my day. But
for people that are not familiar with Phonely is the Windows Phone version of Feedly.
Oh, yes, true.
Yeah. Which I love Feedly. I mean, in fact, that's one of the tabs that I have open that opens in my browser every time I open my web browser. I'm always looking to see what is going on in the world of technology so we can talk about it on the show.
It'd be interesting to see if that pops up in the Edge browser, a little tab thing for that. Or is it a tab or is it a?
I save it as a bookmark.
Oh, okay, I see.
So I've got my list of 3 or 4 websites that whenever I open up a web browser that opens up these specific tabs every day. So according to this post from Thurrott.com, customers can expect the app to remain free in all of its existing markets. The press release says there will be no price changes for Wunderlist Pro or Wunderlist for business customers, and the service will continue to support a wide range of third-party apps and integrated services. So.
Yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all, especially Microsoft's kind of buying their way into the productive smartphone market. Like anything that's productive and even really popular, they want it. They want to get you hooked on that one app, so that way you maybe check out another app from them, and then eventually maybe you might get into one of their services where you're actually paying real money. And I think we're going to continue to see this, and before you know it, people might look at Microsoft differently. As of right now, as a whole, I think the internet still thinks of Microsoft as a 90s company.
Right. And one other quote here as well, that we will build on and apply Wunderlist's innovations to Microsoft's apps and services, the blog post concludes. So things are going to continue going on, and I would think with the Microsoft platforms you might get a few extra little perks. But
right, exactly.
So we shall see. Again, great service. If you haven't ever tried Wunderlist before, give it a look. It's like I said, it's free and it can kind of help keep you on task. So, all right. Go ahead and talk about what you were just telling me. We were discussing and actually watching the trailer for.
Yeah, so as you know, I'm big in games, so I've got another game for you. So yesterday, the official site on Bethesda put up a countdown clock for a Fallout game. They didn't say what it was yet. And it said, there's like a 24-hour clock on it. It's like, wait, they're actually going to show something before E3. Okay, I'm really interested. So this morning they showed the trailer for Fallout 4, which is official, and it's been announced for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, which means it's only going to be for this next generation of consoles/PC, which also means they're not limited to the older generation. So there's a very good possibility that this is going to be a very big and pretty game.
Yeah. Now, just looking at the trailer, which, by the way, is 3 minutes long, and
which is insane for a teaser trailer.
Yeah, normally that runs minute and a half, maybe just kind of just to show off.
Yeah.
Here's a little of the graphics and kind of just little hints and teases, like you said.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the Fallout series, basically it is kind of set in a 50s era world, but with lots of like steampunk technology in a way.
Okay.
And that kind of clashes together, and it just makes a very interesting world. And in this post-apocalyptic world, there was a huge war, and everybody bombed the crap out of each other with nuclear bombs.
Okay.
So it's basically a huge wasteland that you are, looking through and checking out. I mean, there are hints of green in certain areas, but they're very few and far between. Fallout 3, which originally came out in, I want to say 2007 or 2008, is probably one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. Wow. So if that says anything about the series, I mean, then they did Fallout New Vegas, which is actually really cool. Kind of like a little side project of theirs, but also a full game, but also really good. But
yeah, I need to actually try the Fallout, because I have not played any of the Fallout games in the past.
You'd probably be able to pick up like a definitive version of 3 with all the DLC, which I would highly recommend, because the DLC is like some of the best DLC on that game in particular.
I would probably be able to get that for like $20 or something. I
mean, easily. Yeah, easily. No reason you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
But highly recommend if you are into sci-fi / RPG, open world. It touches on all of that, and it does a really good job.
Now, just real quick, I can't remember if we've talked before about if you've played Red Dead Redemption or not.
I have.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's a really fun game. I loved it. I never got around to playing through it all the way, because it's another one of those open world. You gotta spend lots of time, beating. But if you like westerns at all and you want an open world shoot 'em up kind of thing, kind of like a Wild Wild West, it definitely want to check out.
Yeah, I would say it's probably one of my most favorite games. And I'm like you, I got so far into it, and then just life got in the way, and I haven't been able to get back to it. And I've been thinking about it so much lately. I'm like, I love that game. And I mean, I've got all the expansions for it, and oh God, I just love it. And hopefully, Rockstar will come out and do another Red Dead.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of like all of this. Rockstar and Bethesda don't put out games until they are ready. They don't do yearly releases, bi-yearly releases. They like, it's been 5 years since the last Fallout game. Yeah. So like, fans are just like thirsty for a new game, just like really want this. And obviously it's finally here, and I'm sure it'll be launching this fall if I were to guess, because they dropped the news and it's like out this season or whatever. And Rockstar is the same way. Like, they work on a game, keep it, they're just dead silent about it, and then they just drop all this news at once.
Yeah, that's why we don't have Grand Theft Auto 15.
Exactly. And I'm so glad for that, because that makes such a great game, and they think so much about what they're putting into it and doing. And so,
did you ever play any of the early Grand Theft Auto games, like 1 and 2, which were kind of like the top down?
It's funny you say that. So Fallout 1 and 2 was the same way.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting that both on the third game, they went into this open world exploring type game. I never made that connection before, but that's very interesting. Yeah, but no, I haven't played either of the Fallout or the Grand Theft Auto, but I do know of them.
Okay.
So
yeah, I had Grand Theft Auto 1 and Grand Theft Auto 2 on PlayStation, and used to play the heck out of them. And then I even bought the British expansion, just kind of like side game, which was a little different. Really wasn't my favorite. I liked Grand Theft Auto 2, and then obviously whenever they went to Grand Theft Auto 3, it was like, oh my God, this is just so completely different. It was just really good.
Oh man, I remember playing Grand Theft Auto 3 for the first time. That blew my mind. I was like, wait a second, I can go anywhere I want?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like the open world sandbox was that probably defined it. Like
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 3 was it. There was just no better game out there. You could, just drive around the city in a car doing nothing, just driving, checking out the sights. Like it was.
Sorry, you can't swim.
Oh yeah, except you couldn't swim in that game, which
Most games you can't swim in.
so the first Assassin's Creed you couldn't swim, and there's a few parts where you have to jump over a bunch of water, and the controls were a little clunky because it was the first game.
Yeah.
So you find yourself jumping into water, and then it's like, oh, desynchronization, gotta try again. Luckily, in the second game they addressed that.
Yeah, you're like, dude, you can like climb up walls and do flips and stuff into, cartfuls of hay and stuff like that, but yet you can't swim.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All this acrobatic stuff, you can't swim. All right, so moving on, but sticking with the game genre here. Gamefly. Now, Brad, have you ever used Gamefly before to rent games or anything?
No, but my buddy has it, and I really would like to get it because it's a really awesome service. Like you pay $15 a month, and you can rent any game from their catalog and have it as long as you want.
Now, I used it back when it first came out. This is years ago, and that was when they only had a couple of distribution centers across the United States. So, getting a new game would often take a long time.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And of course, you have wait lists and stuff like that because GameFly is kind of like the Netflix of video games.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So now GameFly is rolling out a new streaming service, and there's some limitations because it's all new and they're still trying to work on this. But as part of this new service they have acquired streaming company Playcast, which will power this new video game streaming service. Now, it's going to work a little bit differently than something like Netflix, where instead of just being able to play any game that you want, you can play, they put them in groups. Actually, bundles is what they're calling them. So you can rent bundles of games for $7 a month each. Now, I don't know if that is $7 a month for the bundle or $7 a month for each game within the bundle.
Interesting.
That's still kind of a little up in the air. I would think you're renting for $7 a month the entire bundle.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. If it was GameFly, that would be my first guess. Yeah. And there are rumors that Xbox is going to have some kind of streaming service. So I'm wondering if they're teaming up with them.
I don't know.
Because there is a service on Xbox only because PlayStation's like, oh, well, our fans don't want this. So they never picked this up. So EA went to Microsoft and did like an EA All Access. It's, I believe, $30 a year. And you can play any game that they have in the quote-unquote vault. And as much as you want for your whole year of your subscription until you renew. And it's only $30. And there's, I want to say, somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 10 games in there now. I don't really remember because I haven't looked in a while. But I think they just added one of the Battlefield games. So they've got some good games in there.
Okay. So according to this story from The Verge, at launch there will be 6 bundles to choose from, each with 7 games, and each based around a particular theme. So some of the examples that they give in this article are you can rent a collection of different Lego games or adventure games like Darksiders or the Arkham series of Batman games. Now there's a more premium gamer pack that's also available that gives you access to 16 games for $10 a month. So it looks like you'll have, different levels. You want to pay more, well, you get access to more. The current lineup of games is a bit sparse at around 40. And so is the number of devices that will support this new service from GameFly. And actually, it works out good for me because, well, I've got this device that is only available on the Amazon Fire TV. So right now, if you've got an Amazon Fire TV, which typically runs $100 unless Amazon has it on sale. And for $40, you can buy a standard video game style controller.
So that'll be full streaming of the game to that console. The console would not be doing the heavy lifting of the graphics.
No, and it definitely would not be storing it either, because I want to say that my Fire TV only has like 8 or 16 gig of storage. I want to say it's only 8 gig of storage, because I've got a few apps installed on there, and it's like, if you want to install this, you're going to have to delete something else.
The only reason this worries me is this has been done before by a company called OnLive, and they have since, disappeared. And I believe PlayStation ended up buying up the remnants of them. They started in, I want to say, 2009, 2010, had this great idea, did a Kickstarter thing, it took off.
Yeah, that you were going to be able to stream like any game.
Yeah, any game onto here. The problem is you can't get full HD because of most people's internet, and you can't, the latency from the controller to the screen, there's a little bit of latency, and if you're a gamer like me, you would be able to tell. So a lot of the, I wouldn't want to say moves, but a lot of
first-person shooting. I mean, latency is everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the things you would be doing during playing, it would put you off a little bit, and that could be an issue. So I'm curious to see if they have solved this. I don't know.
I mean, like it's mentioned in here, GameFly is far from the first company that has tried to create a Netflix-style streaming service, and like you said, OnLive. So, best of luck definitely to GameFly, and hopefully they can get this squared away. And
I would love to see this on more things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to have to if they want the service to actually be successful, because I don't think I know anybody else that owns an Amazon Fire TV. I really love that little device. It's really good. My wife and
funny you say that.
Using it lately.
Paul Thurrott talks really highly about it because it is really fast. It's really fast compared to a lot of these streaming boxes out there. It has a really good processor in it, and we're actually looking at getting that for Sarah's sister, who's moving in with us this year. So.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the games like Asphalt 8 and was it Rip Tide GX or something like that, kind of like the Wave Runner racing game.
Oh, right. Okay.
I mean, you can actually play that with the little remote that comes with the Fire TV, just because of the simple commands and controls and stuff like that. And it plays really well, and it looks great on the TV and stuff.
Huh.
So definitely say it's worth $100, and if you can get it on sale for... Usually when it's on sale, it's about $80. So if you can find a good deal on it, I'd definitely snag one up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, so moving on. Brad, you're up with talking about a CPU here.
Yeah, so this really grabbed my attention because if you think of CPU, I mean, you think none other than Intel. Intel is one of the best, and performance-wise, you just can't beat them. But this one is you might actually want an AMD's latest processor in your next laptop. Why in your laptop, you might ask? Well, it turns out that the power savings in the new AMD processor outpaces the Core i7, the i3, the i5, all of them. In gaming specifically. So I find that really interesting in a way. I mean, AMD does do graphics cards, so I guess it's not completely out of the realms of possibilities in a way. They use a 28 nanometer process, and it's supposed to cost somewhere between $400 to $800. The mid-range laptops, that is. The devices cost somewhere between $400 and $800. But, I mean, what do you think of an AMD processor? Have you had any experiences, good or bad, with any of them?
Yes, actually, I've had 2 AMD CPUs in the past. And I'm looking back through some information of the first one that I ever bought. Actually, it was the first high-end processor I ever bought, was the AMD FX 53, and this chip was on the 939 chip series or whatever, and or 939 socket, I guess it was. And looking back, I just did a quick little search online just to see when it was that it came out. That came out back in 2004. So this is 11 years ago. Like this article that I'm looking at from inantech.com was written by Derek Wilson on June 1st, 2004. So this is 11 years ago.
Wow.
And to just take a guess of what I paid for it.
And just the laptop, right?
No, not a laptop. This is just the CPU itself that I had built a CPU for it.
Okay. I don't know, $300.
I wish it was. No, it cost me nearly $1,000.
Oh,
just for the processor.
Whoa. So in comparison today, you can buy an iCore or an Intel i7, like the newest Haswell chip, right around $400.
Yeah.
So
isn't it crazy how much these chips cost now?
Well, compared to what they used to cost, I'd say they're a lot cheaper, but they are very expensive. That's like one of that and the motherboard are like just the most expensive pieces you buy for your computer, maybe minus the graphics card. But you can get a computer up and running without a graphics card. So,
yeah. No, I mean, this thing was pretty. It was great. It was a 2.4 gigahertz CPU.
Wow.
It had 1 meg of L2 cache, 130 nanometer, manufacturing process.
Yeah, that's. And now we're down to 28.
Yeah, this is
my
crazy.
Goodness. So I have a few experiences with AMD. Sarah's laptop is AMD, and she loves it, which I was a little surprised, to be honest, because I mean, she just needed something cheap for school to get her through, and she's been using it ever since. And I mean, she really likes it a lot. So there's that. And then my graphics card is a AMD HD Radeon something. It's like 8750, something like that. I don't fully remember because I always forget the graphics card thing. But I want to get a new one because I've had a few issues with my graphics card, to be honest. It's an Asus. Yeah, it's an Asus. I had it crossfired with another one exactly like it, and I might have downloaded like a beta driver or a bad driver, and that might have been the reason why I had a bunch of issues with my computer. So I'm just down to one graphics card right now because I don't really game a whole bunch right now, but I'd like to step into the realm of like a $400 card and just like one card instead of two. So
yeah, it was good. I mean this old FX53, it was a 64-bit CPU, but it only had a single core, so it wasn't even dual core.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so now
dual core didn't come around until a couple of years later.
No, actually, it was not too much longer after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it wasn't too much longer after that, yeah, because I got a dual-core Dell Inspiron for graduating high school, and it was like kind of state-of-the-art stuff, at the time. And I actually had to pull it out last night to find my resume on it because I had my resume nowhere. It did not exist on any of my current stuff. I'm like, I know I have this. I'm like, it is probably on my old laptop. So I go open it up, turn it on, which it wouldn't turn on because obviously it hasn't been plugged in for a couple of years. And as soon as I get ready to, get onto it, I'm like, okay, here's a password. It's like, it needs a password. I'm like, oh no, I don't remember the password for this thing. So I tried the two that it should have been. It wasn't that. And then I remembered it tried a third time. Third time was a charm. I got it. So
that's good.
Yeah, I remembered it, got the important stuff off of there, and shut it back down maybe forever. So, but it's just really funny going back looking at some of that tech, just only from a couple of years. Well, close to 10 years ago now, but I mean, it feels like only a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next story, just real quick, looking at CPUbenchmark.net. they still have CPU marks and like benchmarks and stuff like that. Compare the FX53 to the Intel Core i7 4790K, which runs at 4 gigahertz.
Mm.
The number for the FX53 is 646. Now, the number for the Intel chip that I just mentioned, 11,236. So that's how far we've come in 11 years. And that chip that I bought was pretty much one of the top of the line single core chips available at the time.
Yeah, so this one is the AMD FX 8800P, and it is an 8-core.
Yeah.
4 CPU cores and 8 GPU cores. Oh, so there's that.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
I don't fully understand cores. I'm not going to try to pretend that I do. So if I said something a little funny or wrong, I'm sorry.
Right. And if we did, let us know, because we don't mind being corrected if we're wrong, and always wanting to get some more information ourselves. So
yeah, in the words of Mary Jo Foley, if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you about it.
All right. All right, so we'll move on and talk about computer connections. And actually this goes across mobile devices and laptops and all sorts of things. About Thunderbolt 3 using reversible USB Type-C.
Yeah.
Now, this is actually from Intel. As Intel has recently revealed all the information about its new Thunderbolt 3 specification at this year's Computex conference, which we mentioned, I believe it was Friday or Monday's episode.
Yeah, it wasn't too
about
long
the Asus
ago.
news. I think it was this past Monday.
Yeah, it was Monday, I believe.
Yeah. Now, this could be the port that best serves Apple's single I/O vision of the MacBook's future. What Thunderbolt does, Thunderbolt 3 actually, uses a reversible USB-C connector and includes USB 3.1 support, as well as higher data transfer speed over Thunderbolt 2 by 100% to 40 gigabits per second.
What?
And supporting use of up to 2 4K displays running at 60 hertz simultaneously. So,
yes.
Nice.
So I think we're going to really start to see a flood of USB Type-C stuff, especially with,
yes.
I mean, it will be on everything from your laptop to your phone to your tablet to who knows what else.
Yep, because data transfer, power back and forth.
Yeah, like this.
Displays.
And I'm really hoping, I'm holding out hope that Apple, Android, and Windows Phone will all have a USB Type-C, and that'll be the end of that, and no one will be like, oh, well, I only have this connector, in about a couple of years or whatever. It'll just all be the same connector. So if you need a quick charge from anyone, they got it. It'd be amazing. Yeah. Although Apple just did change their power cords, so if they change it again, they might upset some people.
Yeah, I know that was a big thing, going from 30-pin to the Lightning connector. That upset a lot of people. So if they're gonna swap it out again, people will be like,
"Now's the time. Just pull the Band-Aid off."
Yep, just rip it right off.
And Apple can do it.
Yeah, they'll do it, and everybody will still pay, because that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see if that happens. Speaking of Computex, I would just want to add this in here real quick. There's a conference that Microsoft's doing there to kick it off, and they said that for Windows 10, they have 96 devices in the pipeline and over 300 products running the operating system available by the time it debuts on July 29th. That is a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff coming out in the next couple months.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a computer, or as long as you don't need a computer, I would just hold out a month or two and see what comes out with Windows 10. I really would.
You got to think we're going to be getting information about the Surface Pro 4. I mean, I would not be surprised really to see Microsoft release a USB-C connector on the Surface Pro 4. That would not surprise me in the least.
It wouldn't me either, but it would have to be compatible still with the existing stand. Yeah, it's correct.
Right, yeah.
So if they did that, it would have to be in an accessible area when you have it docked. So I don't know. I mean, I don't put it past
so
them not to
maybe
do it,
they
but
won't then. Yeah.
I mean, most businesses and people right now don't have a USB Type-C, so maybe they'll just hold off till the next iteration. But I almost know for a fact we won't see anything this month because Microsoft's going quiet right now because E3 is getting ready to happen and everyone's focusing on E3. That's, that is possible to do. Obviously, not the entire company, but
yeah, they've got a few things they're working on right now.
yeah, if they show it off, it'll be in July, I think. And if they don't do that then I really don't have a guess for it.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to Apple. Now, this really has nothing to do with Mac or iPhone or Apple Watch, but Apple today has issued a voluntary recall on the Beats Pill XL speaker. So if you use one of the Beats Bluetooth speakers, the large one, not the small little pill that
Pocket-sized one.
Yeah.
The horse pill one.
Yes, the horse pill. So yeah, they've issued a voluntary recall due to possible fire safety risks. They're offering either an electronic payment or Apple Store credit to customers who return their speakers. So you don't have to, but they're saying, yeah, you might want to. They're asking customers to stop using the Beats Pill XL speakers, and those who purchased one should visit specific website for details about how to return their product to Apple and how to receive an Apple Store credit or electronic payment of $325.
Yeah, those things aren't cheap.
Well, it's because it's got the B on it.
Yep.
It's because it's Beats.
Paying for the brand.
Yeah. Not going to get in the weeds on a Beats discussion and thoughts on that.
Well, I might go in there a little bit. Just real quick, from what I've heard, and I don't know a lot about it, but Beats as a hardware maker, not so great. Beats as a software maker, though, for music, apparently is really good, which is the part that Apple wanted.
Yeah, I haven't used the Beats streaming in a long time. Actually, since it really first came out, and
I've actually never tried it, so I don't know. It's not my thing.
Okay, so moving into a little Windows 10 discussion, just a short little bit of information. Gabe, who kind of heads the Windows 10 development and all this stuff, he tweeted out that you will be able to do a clean install during and after the free upgrade period, whenever you install the update, which will be available again on July 29th. I kind of wish it was June.
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely not ready for June.
I was going to say, maybe you don't wish that.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll be able to still do a clean install of it. Let's see. This free update, which will come out now. Now you're going to worry about that. So they're just actually talking about the Windows 8.1, which was an upgrade from Windows 8 to 8.1, and that came out a year after Windows 8 was released. It's offered through the Windows Store, but not with a digital ISO download. So it'll be curious to see how they go about it this way, because I know a lot of people were very frustrated with the update process for going from 8 to 8.1, that you had to go through the store to get the update instead of just...
That never bothered me. I guess I just had a really good experience with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. I know whenever I had my original Surface RT, and if I had to do a factory reset, it would always, go back to Windows 8, and then you had to install so many updates, and then restart before you could even get into the store for the store to see that you needed to install 8.1. And
yeah, so when I had, so I started my computer out on Windows 7 because it was literally right before Windows 8 was coming out. And I kind of built my computer to be able to run Windows 8 because my little Dell, it wasn't going to run it. There's just no way. And so I remember a few times that I've had to like completely burn off the OS and just start from scratch, burn everything. And I go from Windows 7, then I go to Windows 8, then I got to go to 8.1. And it's just this like really long process. I got to install all the drivers. And I mean, at this point, I'm kind of used to it, but I just don't like doing it if I don't have to. So I don't know. I won't do a clean install on my tower per se, but maybe on like something smaller that doesn't, not a big deal. I might do it on my little tablet.
I'm a clean install kind of guy. I mean, even whenever I do an update on a OS on my smartphones and stuff like that, I'll do the update and then I'll back my stuff up and do a factory reset, just because I don't want any possible bugs that might come from.
See, that's interesting you say that, because I had a bug in Windows 8, and I was showing like it was just taking up way too much on my SSD for the like the OS.
Okay.
And as soon as I installed 8.1, it cut it in half. Like it fixed something. I don't know what, but it fixed it. So
probably got rid of a lot of temporary files or something.
Yeah, or something. But it fixed it, and I'm like, all right, cool, ready to go again. But now I've got a 256 SSD instead of a 90, and a lot more space.
Yeah, you got some room now.
Yeah, just a little bit. 90 was just to get me by, and well, it did just that, and then it died. And yeah.
And as next week is WWDC from Apple, so preparations are already in motion to
lots of Apple talk next week.
Yeah, it's like week after week, big conferences,
and then after that it's E3.
Yeah, it's like wow, so much stuff going on.
Yep. Yeah. So
maybe if the schedule works out, maybe we'll do some live blogging, live tweeting of some of the keynotes or something. See what the schedule looks like.
Plan for me, I'm gonna go to the Microsoft store here in St. Louis for E3, just in case anything gets announced that I can pre-order or get right away, because that has happened. So I'm gonna be at the store that day.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that pretty much does it for news.
Yep.
Yeah, let's move into app and entertainment picks. I'll go ahead and let you lead off while I look through my list for something to talk about.
So I know that most of you have probably heard of The Nerdist or Podcast Nerdist, but I kind of just recently discovered it because it was on like trending podcasts on Pocket Cast. And so I've heard of it. I clicked on it and finally started listening to a few episodes, and I really like it. And this sounds so stupid, but I really like intros to podcast shows, and theirs is like awesome. It's like this about 80s 90s mixture of like video game music all compilated into like a song, and it's really cool. So anyway, they have a lot of really cool guests, people like John Cusack, Mike Judge, Stephen Tobolowsky, Richard Lewis, Dexter Holland, Timothy Simons, and the list just goes on and on and on. And they have all kinds of guests, and they just talk. They just talk all kinds of anything from video games to show to stand up to life in general to science. I mean, they just talk it all, and it is a really well done podcast, I think. So. Okay. If you just maybe want to, I don't know, listen to just somebody talk about, anything, celebrities of any kind, I'd check it out.
Okay, good. I want to say it's in my list of, because I have like 100 shows in my Pocket Cast.
Oh God!
But I can't listen to everything. But I hear about a new one, and I put it in my list, and hopefully sometime I'll get a chance to check them out.
Right now, I'm sitting at only like 14, but I listen to all of them every week. So
Yeah, that's different. You work in your position, which congratulations, by the way, I saw on LinkedIn or something that you're celebrating an anniversary at your position.
Oh yeah, that's coming up in 6 days.
Yeah. Was it 7 years?
7 years. That's a long time.
Yeah. So, I mean, at your job, you've got the opportunity to just plug in and just listen to nothing but podcasts.
Yeah, usually 5 o'clock rolls around, everybody starts leaving for the day, and it's like, all right, time to listen to some podcast. So,
Whereas me, most of the time when I got my headphones in, I'm editing a podcast myself or editing video or something like that. So it's like I don't really get to listen to as much.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But I try.
Yeah, you're quite busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to mention an app for for a pick of the week here, and it is the Fandango app. As we went,
I do like that app.
since we went and saw Avengers: Age of Ultron this last week, I simply just pulled up the Fandango app and ordered the tickets right then and there. I mean, I know you always see the little trailers and stuff before the movie starts. Typically at a theater. Oh, you should have used the Fandango app and stuff like that. People miss out.
It's a really well done app because you can order your tickets on there. You can check the show times. You can check how close they are to you. I really prefer Fandango over the other apps. I know
it just took just a few moments, a couple clicks. Once I was logged into my account, boom, there it was. I'm like, wow, that was easy.
Yeah, I really do like that app.
Just picked up my tickets once we got there, and that was it.
And it is summer, so there's lots of popcorn flicks getting ready to come out. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be going to the movies here shortly. Jurassic Park, Terminator, all that stuff. And Christmas, brings Star Wars. So
yeah, that's right, exactly. And also, I guess I'll go ahead and throw out there. Not sure where all Warenberg theaters are, but I know they're really big here in St. Louis. Warenberg has an app. I want to say AMC might even have an app as well.
I know AMC does, and yeah, I was a little surprised to see Warenberg had one, to be honest.
Yeah, so you can simply do that, and if check your theater chain and see if they do actually have an app. And because most of them now are like with the Warenberg app, you can just buy your tickets through that, and you don't even have to wait in line to actually pick up your tickets.
You just go to the kiosk and you print it out, and there you go.
Right there. Yeah. You don't even have to wait in line at all. With Fandango, I still had to wait in line, but I had guaranteed my seats.
So speaking of guaranteeing seats, I've never been to like an AMC theater, and we were getting ready to go to one, but they were kind of sold out to the show we were going to go see, which was Mad Max, actually. But at the AMC theater, you actually reserve your seat in the theater.
Yes. Yeah, you can actually pick which specific seat you want to sit in.
Yeah, it's like that's your seat. You pay a ticket for that seat. I just find that really interesting compared to the typical walk-in, first one's in, get the best seat kind of thing.
Well, that's because it's the dine-in experience that many of them have gone to, where you're sitting there and it's the most comfortable, enjoyable way to enjoy a movie in a theater.
Yeah, and actually
they'll come bring you food, and it's like,
Warenberg has something like that. The what is it called? The 5-Star Lounge.
Okay.
So
I haven't been to one of their theaters where that service was actually offered in the actual theater itself.
I have not either, but I find it really interesting, and I would like to go to do that sometime.
Yeah, Halftime in the chat says that he dislikes the online ticket purchase fee they charge. I agree. It was like $2 and some odd cents.
I did not realize that.
The convenience fee is basically what you're paying.
Convenient to who? Them?
Well, yeah.
Come on now.
I don't know. I agree that I don't like that extra fee, but if I'd rather pay that than
look at
I'll save $2 and take a chance of waiting in line to miss out on getting to see it at the time I want.
Yeah, exactly. Look at it this way. If it's a relatively new movie and you can't get to the theater right away, but you still really want to see it that night, buy those tickets on Fandango or whatever app that you want to use. Pay the $2 charge and, bite the bullet just so you can get that ticket so you know for sure you'll see that movie that night.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, especially if you're somebody who likes to see things opening night and stuff like that. Like there's some
oh,
movies
I love
I
doing
want to see right away, whether it's the midnight showing on Thursday night or what. If it's important to you, you're willing to do whatever it takes.
I see. I really like that because all the really big fans come out, and sometimes they dress up a little bit. And
Oh, they will for the upcoming Star
oh,
Wars.
I
It's gonna be
know.
crazy.
I don't know if there's going to be any possible way to see that on opening night here in St. Louis. That's going to be hard. But
you'll be able to do it if you
well,
want to.
that is my
do it.
Friday, so
Yeah.
Thursday night. So unless they open it on a Tuesday, well, actually, what day does it open?
It's like the 16th, 17th, or 18th, whatever that weekend would be. I'm actually going to flip through the calendar now, and I believe it's the 18th because the 18th is a Friday.
Okay, so then that Thursday night at midnight, they would. Yeah. That makes sense.
And you would kind of think maybe that some of these theaters are going to run, these long marathon sessions like they did with the Avengers and all the whole tie-in stuff, where you can like 22 hours straight of comic book movies.
So another thing, like during the summer, Warenberg likes to bring back like some older movies that they only play for like a certain couple of days, and then that's it. And they'll send back, I guess, the reels that they have.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really cool idea because if there's like an older movie you really like, getting the chance to see it in theater again is slim to none. But I mean, with this, there's actually a slight chance you could. So,
like it was February of 2014. I actually got to go see Back to the Future at the Science Center at the OmniMax.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was really a heck of an experience there.
So. I went and saw Rebel Without a Cause at one point in it was the old theater in the mall that's now dead and you can't even go to. But
Crestwood.
I went and saw it at that theater, and that was really cool. I'd never seen a James Dean movie before that, and that is probably my favorite movie by him, even though he only has like 3.
Popular movie, I would say.
I love that movie. I really do.
Yeah. All right. I think that pretty much does it, sir.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we were a little early today for those of you joining in right now, and we had some things going on, but Friday I may not make it to the podcast, so,
right.
That'll be our last Friday podcast, correct?
Yes, and then we'll just be moving to Mondays and Wednesdays starting next week.
Yeah, so, moving things around because life happens and such is life, so I don't know what to say.
Real quick, we'll do a straw poll update.
Oh, yes.
And let's see. What type of smartphone do you use? We are still at 73% for Windows Mobile, 14% iPhone, and 11% Android.
Wow.
So there you have it. We'll have a link to that straw poll, and you'll have until the Friday episode to cast your vote, and we'll read the results on that episode, which will be episode 78. Wow. The numbers are accumulating fast.
Indeed they are.
Yeah. So that pretty much does it for this episode. Please reach out to us on social media. Connect with us. Follow us. Join up with us. And send any feedback to contact@thetechinformist.com for email. So thank you again. I'm Kevin Harvell. Find me on Twitter @Kevin Harvell. Find Brad Whiteside on Twitter as well @holy_shadows. Brad, great show. Thanks again, as always. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for watching and participating. And until next time, Consider yourself informed. We are out.